Melanated match. It's unexplainable. It's unconditional. It's unforgettable. Unstoppable. So intentional. It's so invitable. Indescribable.
Hello, and welcome to His
and Her Perspective.
And here at His and Her Perspective, we find common ground to harmonize relationships. And we do that by having conversations like we're going to have today. We do this every single Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 4 p.m. Central Standard Time or whatever time you're there. Check us out 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So today we're going to talk about why you suck at relationships. I am excited about this conversation because I believe I've been in a place where I've sucked at relationships. So we're going to talk about that. The two experts here are going to give that to you. But before we do that, we want to make sure that you are commenting, and sharing. Make sure that you're sharing, subscribing, and saying something. Subscribe to both of our channels, Vaun the Love Alchemist, over at Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. And the same thing for Coach Michelamonè at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget our His and Her Perspective YouTube page. We're trying to get more followers over there so that we can start to do a lot more lives over there because some money over there, right? So listen, make sure that you're doing that. If you're looking at us right now, click the share button, do a watch party. Speaking of that, we need to do that as well. But before we do that, brother, how you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I am absolutely wonderful. Thank you for asking as well. You're looking good over there in your green, you know.
Thank you very much. And what is that you got on? Peach?
It's peach.
So that's like the fruit, and this is like the leaves.
Yeah.
So we look like a whole peach right now.
A whole peach right now. That's it. We the whole peach.
Lord our God.
The Georgia peach.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I love it.
And we in Georgia. How about that?
And we in Georgia. Come on now. Come through. Make sure that if you all have questions that you call us at 304-60-ASK-US. 304-60-ASK-US. If you are looking at us, make sure that you tell us hello. You always walk in the room and say hello so that we can say hello back. Tell us who you are and where you're tapping in from so that we can shout you out.
Yep.
So we have a segment where we go into the couples that are winning, and let's get up the couples that are winning. So we got couples that are winning. Let me go and find that on my
Mr. Yardley Bond, live and direct from Brunswick, GA. Salute, sir. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Yardley. How are you doing today? How you doing? All right. So this is our couple that's winning. Go ahead, Vaun.
So this couple, this is Mr. and Mrs. Perry and Tanisha Mister. And what's so special about this couple is that they've been together. We've known them since high school. Actually, since we actually knew them before that. So we grew up with them.
Wow.
And and they've been married as long as my wife and I have. I think they're right behind us at 28, 29 years.
Nice.
I didn't speak to them today to get the exact amount of years, but I know that they're right there with us. And they're hanging in there. They're doing well. You can see the lovely smiles that they have on their faces. We were just with them, matter of fact, last year at a reunion.
Wow.
Real good to see them, and they make love look good, man. They make it look easy. So salute to Perry and Tanisha Mister. You guys make love look easy.
God bless you both. God,
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. So, oh my goodness, that's really great. I mean, I love to see, I'm telling you, before I connected with you, the longest couple that I knew that had been married was my parents at 20. They're now 21 years in. And so I think that that's amazing to see people that are my age that are married that long. It lets me know that I'm connected to the right folk.
No doubt.
Right folk.
Yeah. And it's something because I've met so many people who have never met people who have been together for longer than 10 years.
Yeah.
And not only not been together longer than 10 years, but actually doing well in their relationship beyond that point. And
Right.
it's so I really enjoy doing that little couple segment that we do for that reason alone, among
Yeah.
others. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because it's highlighting something that we don't know is really happening because everybody's, I mean, so against marriage these days. I mean, there are people are like, I read this post that, KS, I ain't gonna keep giving him my name on our show.
Right.
Anyway, he put a post up about, a guy dropping to his knees and asking, proposing this girl to get married. And you should have seen these thousands and thousands of comments. And so many of them were talking about, oh my God, he's about to die. Oh my God, he did the worst thing he could ever do. Oh, I mean, it was just like the worst. I mean, they were so against marriage.
Mm,
I couldn't believe it. I was like, that is so sad though.
yeah, that's wild. So
Yeah,
they were going in on the brother for dropping to one knee and proposing.
yeah, they were
Like,
mad. Yeah, they were angry.
what do you think? What do you think that's from? What do you think causes that? Yardley, got my man Brian Enrique in the queue. What do you think has caused, and even you, Coach Michelle, why do you think we're at this place where men are being shamed for asking a woman to marry? How do we get here?
You- I think that, there's this whole thing where men have been bashed and beaten and bruised so much that they don't want to put the woman on the pedestal. And based off of the tradition and where dropping to one knee comes from, it comes from the king bowing at the woman that he wanted to marry to do that. So maybe they feel like she shouldn't be put on the pedestal like that anymore. I don't know. I really don't know. I would love to know what the guys think because I'm really, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I have theories. I haven't read anything about it or done any extensive research on that, specifically on that. Lorenzo Cole just joined the chat. What's up, family? The question that I asked, Lorenzo is a very thoughtful brother too. The question Coach Michelle just made a point that a man was being shamed for dropping to one knee and proposing to a woman. So the question that we're asking is, how did we get here? How do we get to a place where men are now being shamed for proposing to a woman? Dropping to one knee, chivalry, right?
Right.
In the old chivalrous, traditional way where a man drops to one knee, presents a woman with a ring of significant carriage, and proposes to her. How do we get to a place where men are now being shamed for doing that?
Yeah.
Help me out. How do we get here?
Yeah, it's crazy. I
see my
don't
lovely-
know. I really have no idea why that's happening. I think it's ridiculous. Let's hey Yarley, how you doing over there at Brunswick, Georgia? He said you chilling like a villain. Are you at the bakery? Did you get me some cookies?
Man, grab me one of them bear claws, bro.
Man, And then we got Jesse. Hey, how you doing, sis? How you doing?
My lovely wife. What's going on? So I'll share my theory, and this kind of goes in line with the show, the theme of the show, why relationships suck. And we have so many challenges in our relationships. We got all kinds of issues that we're dealing with. And I don't think that these issues are organic.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons that I think that we're living this, where our relationships suck is because we're living in a manufactured reality.
Yes.
So there are hidden forces, hidden hand, whatever you want to call them. There are people behind the scenes that are heavily invested in making sure that our relationships, that we have a very difficult time finding harmony in relationships. This is one of the reasons why I like to call it the pendulum effect, where for several thousands of years, men were in a position where they were mistreating women, undervaluing women, marginalizing women, oppressing women. And so now we're coming to and that's an extreme. right? So you just picture a pendulum swinging.
Mhm.
That's the extreme where you lack balance. You have, where women are being mistreated. But now we're in this era where women are being empowered, right? We're calling it the women's empowerment era, and women are being, there was an article last week about 12 black female judges. All of the black female judges in Texas in this particular area, all were black and female.
Right.
Where are the men? No men. So that lacks balance.
Right.
And so this empowerment of women is not just for the sake of restoring balance. In my opinion, this is for the sake of exalting them at the expense of their masculine complement.
Right.
And so now we have women on the opposite end of that pendulum swing, and many of them feel like they can live their best life without a man.
Right.
So men are now undervalued, marginalized.
Right.
And the reality is, we can't. Neither one of us can thrive without without the cooperation of the other. So I think that this whole thing of dropping to the knee and shaming men for doing the very natural thing of pursuing a woman and locking her down, making her his or whatever. I think that is a manufactured ideology where you're a simp, you're a sucker.
Right.
You don't know how to treat a woman, and this is where we are. What do you think about that?
I think that I agree. I think that it's a lot of things that have been done to us as a people to make sure that we are divided. And whatever can be done to divide us, to make sure that we're not strong in our unity, because when we understand what we truly have together and how our unity empowers us as a people, not just individually, but as a people, then we stand together. But until we figure that out, until we figure out that we need to back up against the world and say, no, you're not going to keep breaking up our families within our community because we need to stand together. Until we do that, it's going to keep doing that. It's going to be all types of division. There's a division of, the independent woman and the things, with the rappers calling us H's and B's and, different things that have continued to do so on purpose.
Yep.
And we have yet to say, you know what, enough. We're not going to do this anymore to each other. We're going to make sure that we come together. So,
yeah, we're not. I don't imagine that we're going to be able to get to the goal that we're looking for without finding a strong sense of cooperation within each other.
Right. I think that you can have small communities that then to the outsiders look cultish, but I think that is probably the gist of where we're because we're too far gone. So we have to be able to touch as many as we can and bring together as many as we can to make sure that happens. So
even when you look at part of this manufactured reality, and I'm not picking on women because they don't understand. Most women don't understand what's going on. I think just like most men didn't understand what was going on when they were being exalted at the expense of the women. And so even when you look at things like women's freedoms, women's rights to choose, women's like the slut walk, for instance, that came out a few years ago that was being led by what's the blonde haired.
You're talking about the Me movement, the Me movement.
Not the Me Too. It was before Me Too. It was the slut walk when Amber Rose. Amber Rose, when she came out, she was leading this thing that they were calling the slut walk, where women were, I don't know, whatever. Just the name says it all, right? The slut walk, and I think that people don't. She had a large following, and there were a lot of women that gravitated toward her. Plus, the men really liked her because she's a very shapely woman, she's a nice looking woman, and so men flocked to her, women flocked to her, and she led this movement. And there are lots of women who gravitated toward her in the name of the slut walk. And we don't know who this woman is, who sent her, who she's working for, who pays her.
Right.
And so she's leading this idea that removes all sense of modesty and even if you want to go so far as to say innocence,
Mm-hmm.
women and even younger women, young girls.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these people, you have these women thinking that she might be onto something.
Mm.
You see, but these again are part of the manufactured realities that I'm talking about because you're not being oppressed anyway. Especially black women. Black women have never really had a your man has never oppressed you. Black
Right.
women had conflict, but your black women and black men's issues were never the same as white men with white women's issues.
Right.
We didn't have an oppressor in us. You got a
Right.
comment down there. Yardley says,
I'm trying
I
to.
believe, huh?
No, I was trying to do a watch party.
Okay. Yardley says, I believe some of these are the reasons. Divorce rate at 60 to 70%. 80% of those divorces are initiated by women. 85% of the child custody is given to women. Up to 75% of men's financial solvency is transferred to women, is alimony and other cash prizes. If men look at their ROI when it comes to marriage, it's a lose, lose, lose proposition. Now, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you mentioned that because even this idea that women walk away with so much of a man's earnings after divorce, that also contributes to this manufactured reality. Like, what man in his right mind wouldn't be apprehensive about marriage after he sees that a man loses half of everything that he's worked for?
And that's exactly what those men were saying on the thing with the with his post. They were really talking about that. Like you watch him lose, and in a year he'll have half his money gone. And that didn't happen to me. I didn't walk away with nothing. I came with what I walked away with, and I did that on purpose. So I don't think that every woman is that way because I didn't ask for nothing that wasn't mine. I wanted everything that belonged to me, and I want you asking for nothing, which is why I shut down my insurance agency because you ain't getting none of it. When you say you want it, we ain't gonna have it. Okay. But I just don't believe in that. I don't. I mean, if you're a homemaker, now there's a difference. Now, if that woman is a homemaker and she's had your kids and she has now been living off of that's what it's supposed to be for. She is now living off of the one income, and now that income breaks up, and now she still has those children. She has been accustomed to living and taking care of her babies at home. So now if that relationship splits up, then there should be some compensation for that so that she can continue on in the lifestyle. I'm not saying until the kid's grown, and no, I'm talking about for a little while to get herself on her feet, especially if she's decided to walk away. Because if she decided to walk away, then no, she shouldn't be compensated for no long length of time to do anything if she decided she wanted out. So I just don't think I have a problem with anything that makes anybody do something that they should not do. I'm a buck every time somebody try to make me do something because I'm a giver by nature. So I'm going to give everything. And anybody try to make me do something, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Kevin
Allen says, I have custody of my daughter and I receive child support. So here you have a man who has custody of his daughter, and the mom is paying child support.
Yeah,
that's one of those uncommon, or maybe it's growing increasingly more common these days, but still, like Yardley was saying, what he said, 75% or 85% of the child custody cases are given to women.
Yeah. And so my dad took care of 3 girls. He wasn't getting child support. He just took care of us. It's simple. Yeah. Jarley said he's at work. Oh, we thought you was at a real bakery. We was gonna get mad and say you ain't give us no cookies and donuts.
Yeah.
He said divorce and child custody courts are generally skewed to benefit women at the expense of men, and that is because of the whole thing in making sure that they keep division. If we can take your strength out of your home, we can keep you weak. So I I have been studying. I've read the book before, but I have been studying the art of war because I am creating some stuff for a program, and I want people to understand the war, the arts that we have not been privy to. And so, part of the art of war, one of the very first premises is to weaken the enemy. How do I weaken the enemy? By taking his strength away. You know, if you think about things like in the Bible, and they talk about Samson and his hair. How do you weaken this man who been beating everybody? You cut his hair. That's where his strength was. How do you weaken a black family? You take out the man. You take him out. It's going to weaken yes, women have been raising kids forever, but try to raise a son and teach him how to be a man. You won't be able to do it, lady. So when women say, well, I'm the mom and the daddy, you a lie. Stop lying. You ain't the daddy, you the mama. You the provider, but you ain't his daddy, and you'll never be. So it's just, I'm gonna have to, So it's just, it's a lot.
Yeah.
There he go again, calling people garden tools. Amber Rose, a garden tool that cannot be a household item. She cannot pair bond with a man.
Yeah.
He says, I am a female. Yes, I am. You are special. Most women are like that, especially when they're mad. Yeah, I was big mad. But I still walked out with my bags and the stuff I came with. Oh, I was big mad. Oh, big mad, right? So yeah. Great book, Out of the Book of Five Rings. Yes, Gregory says true. So let's bring up this video that prompted today's show and get on in it, because we 23 minutes in. We've been talking about whoever that lady was. Let me find the video. Oh, where did it go? Hold on, I'm trying to find. Here he goes. See, sorry, y'all. Here we go. Let me share my screen again, and then we'll show you what we are talking about. Share screen. Let me get the audio. Chrome tab. Facebook Live. All right. Can you all see that? You see that, brother? Because I can't see y'all yet. Yep.
A list of things. You gotta be tall, you gotta be dark, you gotta be handsome, you gotta have pretty teeth, you gotta be a family man, you gotta be financially stable, you gotta be rich, you gotta be successful, you gotta be all these things. And we ain't even have the things on that list. You gotta be a family man. Bitch, you ain't talked to your mama in 6 months, but you want him to be a family man. You gotta be financially stable. You're kind of listening to negative, man. Overdraft fees. You gotta have a job. You need to go fill out some applications because you're still unemployed. You gotta have pretty teeth. You ain't seen the dentist in 6 years. You gotta have a six-pack and be in shape. You can't even walk up a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing. Get your life together. His whole list that he gotta be. You ain't even have the things on that list.
So here we go. So what do you all think, family, about that? Because we need to really get it together and understand. But go ahead, lead us in to this, brother. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, she made a lot of good points. I mean, I know that we tend to be, men and women, we tend to be very unrealistic in our approach, or I should say, with our expectations of the opposite sex. So one of the big things that's come to the forefront now is how women are married to their lists. You know, all the different things that she just named: 6 feet tall, you gotta have abs, you gotta be hung like a horse, you gotta all 6 figures, da 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 da. And so they're committed. They're more committed to this list than they are to the idea of how much an actual complementary pair in a man adds value to their life. So they're more committed to the list than they are to what a man actually is. And so they end up growing old with this list in their hand, talking about ain't no good men out here, when in reality there are a lot of good brothers out here. But this cartoon caricature that you've drawn up in your mind about how men are, look, it's only when you talk about men who are 6 feet tall, I think you're talking about maybe like 10% of the men on the whole planet.
Right. It's not a lot of. It's not. That's really not as normal as we think that is.
Somebody, man, gonna have to be 5'3", right?
Right. So it's just. I mean, and people, you'd be surprised. I mean, KS got a whole show based off of women's unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
A whole show. I mean, every day talking to women with unrealistic expectations, and I totally agree. And when and this is the thing, like I'm gonna tell you why I got mad. I've been saying this for years. I was talking to one of my friends, and I was driving a couple days ago when you sent me that video, and I was like, how long I've been telling you that? She was like, since about 10 years. I said, exactly. Women, we have got to, you cannot ask for something that you have no capacity to even meet.
Mm.
You know, you can't talk about, I want him to have abs, but you don't even go to the gym. And then when you talk about how, he got to be hung. You don't want to even give him that when you mad at him. What are you talking about? We've got to understand that you want something, you got to give something. You don't just get, and that goes back to the question that you asked earlier. Why are men feeling this way? Because our empowerment came and got to our head and left us messed up.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like what I think. I tell people all the time: when the devil mess with you, he take you up there and drop you, and then walk away, act like ain't nothing happened. I wasn't even there.
Wow. And
that's what's happening. He took us up, empowered us, dropped us, and walked away like, ooh, that's bad. Ooh, kind of thing.
Angelica says, coming from a different culture, I see a huge difference in relationships and how they are handled and being represented by the media in the USA and my home country. I truly believe U.S. culture is shifting and changing to single households.
Wow. Where are you from?
Yeah, where are you from, Angelica?
Gregory says, man, that's deep. A lot of women have a lot of masculine energy these days. I get it. So many used to handling things on their own for so long. And that's true. It is true. And that's why I teach my clients, bring it down. That first thing, when I recognize that one of my clients has a masculine energy, I come at her. Don't bring that down. You can't be a boss in your house. Cross the threshold, leave it at the door.
Angelica is in Germany.
Germany. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Wow. And Germany. Because you think, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
And then Kevin, I'm sorry, Yarley is laughing, saying, haha, so true.
You said,
Kevin says, where is her offering plate? Where can I give 10% of the monthly gross income?
Coach Michelamonè.
Hey, we need to start putting our Cash App up here so people can make offering to the His and Her Ministries. His and Her Ministries. We need a Cash App.
We sure do, so we could pay for some advertisement. Yeah. Yes, we're gonna put that together. We'll have that next week. Ayana says, I'm extremely reasonable in my expectations of a partner. Is character based and I'm all that I seek. Absolutely. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Gregory says, Vaun, you right. This is not build a man. It's not.
Yeah. But now here's the flip side. Men tend to have very unreasonable expectations when it comes to women too.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the woman who might add the most value to your life doesn't necessarily come in the most curvaceous, voluptuous package. So she might not have, 36, 24, 36. She might have a small chest and her butt might be a little bit more on the slender side. But what she's willing to contribute to your life,
yes,
is much more impactful than how cute she might look in a dress.
Yes.
Now, don't get it twisted. I understand. Look, I'm attracted to the beauty in the woman as much as the next man, but I'm still saying what I'm saying.
Yes.
And oftentimes we play catch and release with keepers.
That's good right there. And that's on both sides. We do that on both sides where so many people need to go back and say, who did them single folk? And I'm just like, really, because, I advertise to so many people. I do it on LinkedIn and I send out this one message, and it really talks about relationships. Are you in a relationship? Da 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 da. And I get back these hundreds and hundreds of responses. I'm single. I'm not even in a relationship. I'm not in a relationship. I'm not in a relationship. And I'm just like, ain't nobody in a relationship? Is it that many single women out here? And it's a lot. It's a lot. You know, I hear people talk about, well, I'm not going to do online dating. Well, 65% of the marriages right now are coming from online dating. So if you don't want to do online dating and you're in a pandemic, then you're going to stay single.
Watch this. I got a question. Victoria Muhammad says, is it masculine energy or strong / survival energy?
It's masculine. Let's keep it real. This is the thing. We cannot get to the place where we are pacifying it, because when we do that, it minimizes what we're doing with it and make it excusable. Now, I want to be clear. There is an excuse to why it happened, but making it excusable keeps it going above. It keeps it able, right? So you've got to give it that, you've got to take the power from it by saying exactly what it is. It's a masculine energy. I'm gonna speak for myself, okay? I had a masculine energy I love muscle cars. Most women that I see, they're not driving little dainty Mercedes Benzes. They're driving Shelbys, Ford Challengers. Those are masculine cars. They love to pull up with their music bumping. That's masculine energy. You love to boss up, and I tell you, that's masculine energy. That's not survival mode. Survival mode is you can still be surviving with your baby on your back. That's a nurturing energy, right? You don't need to boss up you don't need that to survive. We've been given everything that we need to survive as women, not as this masculine. We've been taught that. That was taught to us. It wasn't how we were born.
Mm-hmm. Now watch this. When we talk about just the nature of what it means to be human, right? Mm-hmm. And what it means to bring human life into existence. You're talking about the agency of cooperation between masculine and feminine.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They come together, they produce life.
Yes. Whenever
one of those falls off, then we have to compensate for what's missing. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, Victoria, you let me know if this is where you were going with that. If you have to compensate, if the overwhelming majority of our women have to compensate for the lack of presence of that masculine cooperation in their lives, are they not in a more survival type of mode where they have to tap into something that they should normally not have to tap into? That doesn't mean, though, again, watch this, it's still a masculine energy tank that you're tapping into, right?
Yeah.
But it still is what it is. That they're being forced to not only cook the bacon, but they got to go out and get it too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's survival. But you don't need to boss up to do that. There's a totally different thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember seeing older women, not in my family, because we got the masculine energy going. Okay, for real. But I have seen older women who talk about what they had to do for their children and how they had to do it, but they so dainty, just so ladylike, right? You see those mothers in the church. They didn't always have the husband there, but they were mothers and they were dainty. It's a totally different thing. They wore their skirts and they wore their slips and they wore their stockings. And women nowadays, I'm putting on a pantsuit, I'm rocking it like that, and there's a difference. And I love how you say compensation. Take it to the body. You hurt one of your limbs. The body will shift to compensate for that hurt limb and put more weight on the other part. It doesn't take over that part. It just puts more weight on that part. It still is the left leg or the right leg, and the left leg is hurt. The right leg don't turn into the left leg. It stays the right leg, but it just more puts more on it. It's not, it doesn't turn into it.
Well, and no more than women can actually turn into men, but it does force the body to respond in ways that it wouldn't normally have to respond.
But it doesn't change its character.
I think it does. I'm pushing back a little bit because I think that even if you have one eye that's stronger than the other, if you get an eye injury, that other eye is going to get stronger to compensate for what you lost in the other eye.
Oh, I agree with that.
And so that now the stronger eye is not behaving in accordance with its most natural state of complementing the other eye, right?
Right.
And so now it's stronger than it would have otherwise had to be.
Right.
Same thing in the example you just used with one leg or the other, one arm or the other. And I think the same thing or something similar is happening with women. Not that they're turning into men, but they're having to tap into something that is there. I mean, the eye can't do what's not available to it. So it couldn't get stronger if the ability to be stronger wasn't already there.
Right.
No more than a woman can tap into a reserve that isn't already there. So women are having to tap into this masculine energy bank, not because they necessarily want to. Some do.
Right. Right.
But many of them are doing what, to the point that Victoria was saying, I think many are tapping into out of what they feel a sense of necessity.
And so let me be clear. Tapping into it and staying there by saying, oh, I don't need no man now. I can do this by myself.
That's different.
That's the difference. So men tap into their feminine sometimes to bring that emotion out. So, but it's a difference between tapping in it and living in it. Because if he stayed in his feminine, what you gonna call him? You're gonna call him gay, right? You're not going. So if the woman is staying in her feminine energy, what are you gonna call it? Masculine energy.
Right.
You're not gonna change it. You're gonna give it and call it what it is.
It still is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. So I'm not saying that it's not survival to be able to do that, because you have to do what you have to do, but you can't stay there and then you can't negate the other party. You can't negate what's missing and say, now I don't need it because I've learned how.
Yeah.
There's a difference in that.
And even to that point, if you stay there, you're going to repel that which is naturally suited to accommodate you.
Absolutely.
Men are looking to accommodate women in very masculine ways. But if I show up to your house with a gang of bananas and I see that your house is already filled with bananas, and I see you don't really need what I'm bringing to the table,
and you're gonna turn around and take your bananas home.
You take my bananas and go where they might otherwise be appreciated.
Yes. Yeah. And that's it. So it's like, for instance, when I talked about, I always talk about we attract who we are. If we are, it'll and like men will say things like, and I read this article about how we are always talking about what we don't like. We don't like narcissists, but we're attracted to them. We don't like strong. They don't want the woman strong in the relationship, but they're attracted to them. So they're attracted to the boss chick because they see the power in her and what she can do, but they don't want that turned on them.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. We got a lot of comments here.
Yeah,
so let's see. Ayana said her preference is 6'3", but it's comprisable. Desi says, woo, we play catch and release with keeper. Say it again for the people in the back. That's hot.
Look, 6'3", I'm going to address that. I think everybody, what Ayana just said about 6'3", but it's compromisable. I think there are a whole lot of women that want a guy who's at least 6'3", 6'2", whatever. But when you start doing the math and you realize that 6'3", you're talking about maybe 5% of the men on the planet, right?
There's some romanticism in it, being able to look up.
And then when you talk about 5%, that some of those are already married. Some of those, not just black men, these are all men on the planet. So the majority of them don't even live here in the United States. And then of those, some of them want to be with other men. Some of them don't want you. So now when it all boils down to this preference for a man who's 6'2", 6'3", and this whatever this list is, you end up narrowing your options, your list of options down to about maybe 0.5% of men on the planet when it comes to what's available to you, because most of us never even leave the city or state that we grew up in. Yeah. Maybe except for some leisurely travel or whatever, but you're going to spend probably 95, 97% of all your time in the locale that you're in. So you don't even have access. I'm not talking about you, Ayan. I'm not making this personal, but I'm saying in general, you're not even in position to access the few that are actually available to you. Right. So then by the time this list gets real, right, you're 40, 45 years old, and you're like, damn, maybe I ought to shorten my list a little bit.
Yeah.
And then by then, you used up so much of your market value playing the waiting game.
Yeah.
Your options are actually dwindling. Now your list is choosing you.
Yep. Exactly.
Go ahead.
And it's so very true. Not to mention, I mean, like, you really can't kiss and make love to a man that's over 6 feet tall if you 5'4".
Yeah, you can. You can work it out.
You ain't gonna be kissing and doing that. I don't care what you say. Somebody gonna be hurting. Neck gonna be.
Well, I can't speak from person. I'm only 5'8", so my little one
done that. I'm trying to tell you from experiences.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to kiss or.
Yeah, one of the two.
Oh God! Oh, Desi said it's absolute masculine energy. Absolutely. Yarly says they walk around with their eyes straight shut. Women got a herd full of horsehair down their back. Got bird butts for eyelashes. I don't even know why I be playing with Yarly.
He said bird asses for eyelashes.
Fingernails, fake color ass. Hey, Yarly, watch it. Because you see these ass. Bad looking body, entitled, disrespectful attitude, but want a real man. Yeah, that's true. But don't be talking about my ass, man. Listen, I like my ass being amethyst. They gonna stay that way until I leave this earth. They better put them in when I'm in my coffin.
But see, now he's not necessarily talking about you. He's talking.
I know. I'm joking. I'm joking.
You're talking about what I like the point that you made, because you have all of these add-ons. I'll call them that. Which project to the man that you're interested in this one picture. When after you take your shower, you don't look nothing like that. You're a whole different human.
Whole different person.
You talking about
I'm cute in my brown ass too, though.
Go ahead. You got.
He says the Willis Lynch syndrome in full effect. It is.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know what he means about you. Could be correct, Vaun.
Probably everything I say. I'm always
everything. Right. Everything you say. You're like the bomb.com. I mean, like, you are the wisdom. You are the wisdom.
These are truths.
Go ahead, read on. No, you drinking. Go ahead.
I got you. It's Gregory Taylor says, can a man expect to lead, but at the same time try to control everything? And if you don't believe that man can't lead, then he's not it. But it takes trust. Survival mode is fear-based. Can't be in a relationship if you're in fight or flight mode all the time.
I agree. Sierra agrees with that. Oh shoot, I just lost. Okay, here we go. Ayana says, in the culture where we have to fend for ourselves, we had no choice but to embrace our masculinity. A woman does not become a CEO of a business on feminine energy. I understand the survival mode, and I don't think that we had masculine energy to embrace. I mean, that's just my IMO. And the reason why I think that it is manufactured, I don't think that was who we are. I don't think that was, we're made by a man and a woman. Great. Gotcha. But I don't think that energy was ever created in us. And the reason why I say that is because there's no woman in the Word of God, which is thousands of years ago, that talks about a masculine energy. Even Jezebel. Jezebel was the most deceitful chick ever. She was getting it, right? She was getting her money. She was getting everything that she wanted. And what did she use? She used her feminine energy. When you think about madams are CEOs. They use their feminine energy. I just think that that's my IMO. I think that it is manufactured and we fell for it.
Angelica says, wait, hold on. Victoria says it's being a mother and doing what has to be done. So being the more stable force in the home, even when using your feminine. Kevin says, Coach Michela, you should be the coach of the Chicago Bears, and Vaun should be the offensive coordinator, so that wait, so that they can finally win a championship.
They're messing up. They ain't doing well.
And then one more. Angelica says, at this point in my life, at 55, I don't care how tall a man is. The question is, can you communicate and do you care?
And do you care? Just are you kind? I mean,
yeah. Where the moms at? I told you we need to get some sound effects. I like that.
We really do. We're gonna get it. We're gonna work on that for next time.
Yeah.
Gregory says, can't expect a man to lead when we read that already. Sorry, my bad. Modern women have seen that being feminine was a weakness. They have to overcompensate to their masculine side to protect themselves from the ain't sugar honey iced tea men that they choose to be involved with. Yeah,
look, watch this. My wife had a job. She went to college and everything, and she had a decent job, and it put us in the next tax bracket. She was doing well. But the job was very, very stressful. And I saw the impact that it was having on her, and I didn't like it. So I said, look, man, we're not in a position where we need that money so much to the point where I can appreciate the impact that it's having on you. I don't like it. I don't like what I see. I don't like what you're going through. And so, I would appreciate it, because I couldn't make her quit. I said, I would appreciate it if you would just fall back. I know we paid what we paid for you to go to school, but I don't care about that. I don't appreciate what you're going through. So if you'll do, if I could have my way, you would stay home, and then we'll rearrange some things. And so I think that energy for her to go to work and be stressed out all the time, having to do the things that she had to do, carry the load that she had to carry, compete the way that she had to compete, that taps into an energy that makes it very difficult for her to transition into the softness that I appreciate when she comes home.
Yes.
You see, and I saw what was going on. I didn't appreciate what was going on. And I value that softness more than I value her paycheck.
Yeah.
So I implored her to quit and do something else altogether, or hell, just stay home. I don't care.
Right.
But what I don't want is for you to transform into what that job is transforming you into. And I think that's that masculine energy that, you have to tap into that masculine energy or let me just say it this way, you have to compensate, or even better, you have to sacrifice that softness in order to compete in that arena.
Yes.
What say you?
Yes. What say me is the Bible says that we are the weaker vessel. And anything that turns into something that it wasn't created to do is a perversion.
Wow. Heavy.
So, Desi said, nah, I'm cool on 6'3". I'd rather not have my neck stretched in the upward position all the time. Absolutely. Especially when you're trying to do it.
She can look me almost eye to eye.
Eye to eye. That's fine. She says, I am 5'4". Me too, Desi. 5'4" it is. I don't care about all that. Yeah. He talks so she should be flexible corporate. Yeah, but she ain't gonna be that. You want to go ahead?
Yardley said, I
Go ahead,
don't know
read that.
why a woman would want to be masculine, being that a man is so lonely. Oh, being a man is so lonely at times. You get blamed for things that are not your responsibility. So many people telling you how to be a man. Stay feminine, ladies. Now watch this. You got a lot of people in this culture who enjoy being black without the responsibility that comes along with being black. They get to dress black. You get to dress black, and I'm putting black in quotes, right? Because this culture has this idea of what black is. So
Right.
you get to talk black, you get to listen to black music, you get to wear your hat to the back and your pants sagging and all of that. But when it comes time to actually deal with what black people have to deal with, hands off. You don't want no part of that. And so what I'm saying, I'm correlating that to what Yardley just said. You know, you get to tap into some of the perks of what it means to be a man without having to bear the burden of what it means to be a man.
Yeah, that's good because it's a burden. I tell you, we do not, as women, we cannot imagine and put ourselves in the place that men, especially our black men, have to go through every single day in coming back. I've been saying for like years, like when I watch like, the motivational videos on YouTube, it's always men and how they're running and they just keep going. And you like, I remember saying, were we supposed to have that competitive nature, that drive that keeps us going? And I really don't think so. The Bible talks about us being the men having a curse. There's two curses: the curse that the woman will have, where she will have a desire for her man. There'll be a strong desire for her man, and that the enemy will nip at her heel, which means that he'll always be on her. He'll always be right there trying to manipulate her to do what he wants her to do. And the curse for the man was that he will have to till the land to get anything that he wants. And that means if there was a curse given from God to human, there was always the capacity filled into them to do so. He gave the woman the nurturing and the persuasion to turn back at that enemy and say, hey, don't do that. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why that's not a good thing. Let me do this. And gave her the nurturing sense that it would take for her to love and desire her man. He gave the man the strong drive that go get him. I mean, that I'm a compete till I die thing that women just don't have. Yeah, we got some women who are some athletes and things of that sort, but it's not a majority of us. It's not like a high percentage of us.
Yeah, I have no argument for that.
What else do we miss some other stuff? I'm not sure what Yana said true about, and then when they hit the wall, I'm not sure what that stuff was about.
When they hit the wall, I bet you he's talking in reference to when I was describing the women and their list.
Okay.
And how that list changes, as the change starts to happen to them.
Yeah.
Look, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
So let me ask you this. Let's shift a little bit, pivot a little bit. What do you think are some of the things that women or men should do in order to be more healthy? Because we're talking about why you suck at relationships. What are some of the things that we need to do as a people, to try to shift so that we can do better in creating better relationships?
Okay. One of the things that I think one of the biggest hurdles, obstacles that have been thrown our way, and I'm talking about this society. I keep talking about this manufactured reality, the hookup culture. Man, I was talking to my buddy. Me and Kevin were talking about this earlier, and so this idea that this hookup culture, where we just get together for this instant gratification, this instant satisfaction, rather than delayed gratification.
Right.
Relationships are so important to just they really are the cornerstone of any community. And you can tell the shape that a community is in by the the relationship that their men and their women have to one another.
Yeah.
So if you have a bunch of fractured relationships between your men and your women, you have high levels of disdain and discontentment between your men and your women, your community is going to reflect that.
Yep.
You're going to have a very low level of cooperation, and you're not going to be able to build and compete. It's called race for a reason. It's not just to describe your skin color, but it's an actual race that's taking place. And Black folk are coming in dead as last.
Yep.
And a large part of that is because we have a whole bunch of faulty ideas. So one of those faulty ideas, one of those things that are in our way is the hookup culture.
Yeah.
I would say that another thing is that relationships take more work than we anticipate. You look at people's pictures on Instagram and Facebook, and they smiling and everything, and they booed up and hashtag relationship goals, and that looks good in a still shot. Right.
Right.
But what you don't see is the effort that it takes before people get to that screen.
Right.
That picture that they've taken, and as quiet as it's kept, a lot of people right after that picture's taken, that smile turns upside down and they frowning and they at home miserable. So right. I think unrealistic expectations about the fact that it actually does take work and compromise and sacrifice and some selflessness and solid communication. Like there are conditions of love, as I like to call them. You know what I mean? And I think we need to tap more into that. What say you?
I think I totally agree with everything that you said. I think that people don't know themselves. The art of war talks about when you know yourself and you know your enemy, then you create the best dynamic for victory. When you don't know yourself and if you know yourself but don't know your enemy, then you're only going to win half the battles. If you don't know yourself nor your enemy, or we're going to talk about relationships, you don't know yourself and your partner. If you know yourself and your partner, you can create victory. If you don't know yourself but you know your partner, you're going to win half the battles. If you don't know yourself or your partner, then you lose every rip. And so many people don't know who they are, and they don't know their partners. I sit with so many couples that in the beginning, I want to know, what's your ideas of a relationship? What do you think a marriage is? What do you think these things take? And they will have these lists that are totally opposite. They don't even know what and you would think we talk about everything. You didn't talk about this. You didn't say, what your expectations were, because we think that those are remedial conversations because we're grown. I'm grown. You should know better. No, don't take nothing for assumption, making asses out of yourself and the other person. Make sure that you have those conversations, and people are not having these remedial conversations because they think that people should know better because they've been in relationships before. Talk about everything. Talk about the possibilities. Talk about the things that may come up that you don't even see coming up. You got to open yourself up to these conversations and have these conversations so that you can be prepared. If you don't prepare yourself, you will lose.
Look, me and my wife were talking this morning as we were just kind of kicking around ideas about this show and just kind of discussing how we got to the place that we're at right now. And we have some pretty high level conversations, right? I tend to be a lot more logical, and my wife tends to be a lot more feeling oriented, emotional. So she feels things, I think things, but we always end up at a pretty good place. One of the reasons that you triggered this when you talked about being transparent. And one of the reasons that my wife and I have gotten to this place where we are 30 years together, still going strong. People all look at our hashtag relationship goals, right? One of the reasons that we're at this place is because my wife has always been extremely transparent with me.
Yes.
Right. And I'm not just talking about, you can see my check balance, my bank balance. I'm talking about everything that we talk about everything.
Yeah.
Like, I know the breakdown in her family. I know, the dynamic between her and her dad, her and her mom, her and her grandparents. And so when she comes across to me with how she feels about these different things, I'm not completely divorced from it because I'm attached to her. Right. But at the same time, I'm able to take more of an aerial view and analyze what's going on and help her connect the dots as to why she might have pain in this area.
There you go.
You can't do that unless you experience a high level of transparency with the person that you're with. So when we come together and we have these high level discussions about why I feel resentment in this area, why am I frustrated with this person, why am I feeling still hurt based on this particular relationship, and then I'm saying, okay, well, maybe X, Y, and Z, and she's able to say, you know what, I never thought about it that way, and now we're able to get a level of resolution that most of us never even achieve. And check this out, the way we communicate, right? And we're not special. Anybody can do this. I promise you, anybody in a relationship can do this, but you have to have the level of transparency and openness and the willingness to communicate and the freedom to communicate these pains without being judged.
Yes.
Watch this. So many of us need therapy. We need therapy like yesterday.
Yes.
But when you have the type of relationship where you can talk through these things and work these things out, and you can have somebody analyze and help you connect dots, it damn near eliminates the need for therapy.
Come through.
Because you're not sitting here waiting on closure that may never take place. You're able to give yourself the closure you need so that you can move forward in a healthy way.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. And a lot of times people do not want that. They don't want that transparency. I talk about this all the time about how in order for you to heal, you must feel, and you must be able to forgive that feelings or the things that have happened. And that means you got to discuss those things. And who not better to discuss those things with than your partner who you trust, right? If you cannot stand bare naked in front of your partner and show every flaw that you have, literally and figuratively, then you are with the wrong person. You should be able to know that this person got your back regardless of what they say. Now, I get it. Sometimes, like I've been tasked with the fact that I'm a little blunt. So I know that sometimes I have to preference some things. And so I figured that out, right? But there needs to still get to a place where that doesn't have to always happen. Why? Because you know who your partner is. And if your partner's straightforward, then there has to be a place where, you know what, that's how she is. She's not trying to hurt me, or he's not trying to hurt me, or that's how he is, whatever the case may be, to be able to trust each other. And if you cannot trust your partner, walk away, because you're just going to make each other miserable.
Yep.
Right? So let's see, we got comments up here. So Gregory, Yarley says, I get peed off when I run into people like that. I tell them, you choose to imitate not the best of us, Black, but the worst of us, and perpetrate these destructive stereotypes. Absolutely. He was talking about breathe, meditate, and pray about what you do to get to where we were talking, and quiet your mind and soul. You want to read? Gregory
Taylor says, learn how to communicate. Sometimes what you want is not what you need, and to understand what you need, you got to have a sense of self. You can't have too many chiefs in the kitchen. So that means keep people out of your business. Look, I'm glad you said that. One of the things that we talk about, what's the best relationship advice you ever heard, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that my wife told me earlier in our relationship, she said, one thing we got to do. We were only 8. I was 18. She was 19. She said, no matter what, we got to keep especially the family, out of our business. Keep the family out of your business. Why is that important? Here's why that's important. Because you're going to go through things. You're going to get into heated exchanges. You're going to have, whatever you go. Again, I'm not talking about life. Fellowship. I'm not talking about life-threatening stuff. If somebody's beating on the other person, you got to get help, right? Yeah. But I'm talking about regular spats between couples. If me and my wife get into it, and let's say she says, you know what, your mama is a raggedy so-and-so.
Right.
And I go back and I tell my mama that, right?
Right.
Me and my wife are going to eventually get to a place where I forgave what she said. I know you didn't mean it. You were just mad. But guess who ain't going to forget that she said that?
Your mama.
My mama, my brother, my sister, and whoever else that I tell.
Yep.
He said that.
Yep.
So they're going to hold that grudge against her for the next 5, 10, however many years, because you said that about my mama.
Yeah.
So keep your business to yourself.
Yeah. Find you a coach or a therapist to have those conversations with, or someone that you trust that is really wise. That's why they talk about the elders. you know, and the coaches and the therapists right now, the elders, because we don't have the elders like we used to have back in the day. Right.
Man.
So find your coach. You know, we've got two of us that's here every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, holla at us. This is what we do.
Right. Ayana said, yes, before I get serious with someone, I ask how they feel about therapy. If they're unwilling, I don't proceed. Absolutely. That's what's up, Ayana. He said, I'm correct, Coach M. Thank you very much. Absolutely have to be able to be transparent. You must be able to. You know, this one of the things that people are really, they don't really know and really understand how much trust they don't have. I do exercises with my clients that really show how much trust they have in their partners. And they're like, I trust my partner, I trust my partner. But then when we do these exercises, they're like, oh, I didn't even know I didn't trust my partner. You would be surprised. You know, if you question what they say, and every time they say something, you got to go back and check it, or you got to figure these things out. You don't trust them as much as you do. You think you do. Yeah. And you cannot be with somebody long term without trust. That is like the foundation.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's absolutely essential. Trust. And what's the other one? You got to have a very high level of communication. And that doesn't mean you have to necessarily talk a lot, but you have to be able to communicate effectively.
Right.
Like me and my wife, we talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the phone. I'm at work the other day, and look, the work day is only 8 hours long. We were on the phone while I was at work for 4 hours.
Right. Man, it's nothing like that, right? When you can sit there and talk to somebody for that long,
yeah,
and you still haven't gotten tired.
Yeah, you're not just gossiping. I mean, you're talking about bills. You're talking about what, plans are. You're trying to, you got things to do. And in the midst of that, you might be having some funnies or whatever. Before we knew it, 4 hours had passed. I'm like, damn, we can talk for half of my workday.
Right.
Right on through my break and whatever else. And so, but everybody's not built like that. Everybody can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to, like, I can run my mouth, and my wife can tolerate me running my mouth. And then when I get tired of running my mouth, she can run her mouth.
Right.
And I can tolerate her running her mouth. So, this leads to some pretty good conversations, but you have to be complimentary in your relationship. If you're with somebody who happens to have a much lower verbal output, don't pressure them about how low their verbal output is. That's just, that's who you with.
Right. That's what worked for you, I mean, me and my guy, we talked for 6, 4, 2, never less than 2 hours. We're always on the phone for like 2 hours or more at least. And that's like, you're like, man, we've been on the phone that long. You just don't realize it because you're having these great conversations. And that means you can talk about anything and everything. And I think that's really a great thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yarley says verbo judo. Yeah. I'm telling you. So, I mean, one of the things that I think that people need to really, I always say need, I need to probably stop saying I need, but I really believe you need to, if you want a healthy and strong, long-lasting relationship, is that you've got to get to the place where you're lowering the expectations of the other person. Because, and when I say that, I'm talking about not expecting them to respond like you. Not expecting them to talk like you, not expecting them to act like you. You have to give people room to be who they are. If you allow a person to be 100% of who they are, you will get 100% out of them. If you try to make them 50% of who you are, you're only going to get 50% out of them. You want the best, let them be who they are, 100%.
Look, selfishness is a very big reason. When we talk about these lists, she got to be built like this and shaped like that. She got to be, all these ideas. And then the same thing with women. He's got to be X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Selfish. These are all rooted in selfishness. This is all rooted in, this is what I want. Right. But rarely do we say, okay, well, what do they want from me? And can I offer that? Can I measure up to what they need from me?
Yes.
So here we are being selfish, self-centered in a scenario that requires the ultimate partnership. Right? Marriage is the ultimate. There is no higher level of partnership than the intimate relationship.
Right.
And ultimately marriage.
Right.
But here's the other thing. when we get to a place where we value each other's companionship as much as we value sex, right? I look, man, to a lot of guys that sound corny. A lot of guys that might sound cheesy, but I'm telling you, look, don't get it twisted. I love sex. My wife is beautiful, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when you can get to a place where you value the companionship that your mate brings as much or even almost as much as you value the sex that they bring, that's how you know you're on the way to having a good relationship. Conversely, if you primarily value sex but not their companionship, to the point in the title, your relationship sucks.
Yep. SUCK. It's going to suck. You cannot build. It's like I say the same thing. You cannot even build it on, oh, I love you so much. And you don't build it on the fact that we get along, that we can communicate, that we can effectively communicate. And people, let me say this, y'all. Just because you know how to eloquently say words, or you know all the dictionary, or you just, you got your multiple degrees, don't mean that you know how to effectively communicate. Because effective communication does not mean that you know how to get the words out. Effective communication means you know how to get the words out, put them to the person that they need to go to. They receive them, grab hold to them, and now they understand what you're saying. That's effective communication. If that person does not know what you're saying, then you have not effectively communicated. And I want to be clear, because people will say, well, just because they didn't understand me don't mean I'm not. No, it means that then you got to go back and say, well, okay, so which part didn't you understand? Okay, so let's talk about that. Let me figure out how I can better explain that. That's effectively communicating, but just dropping it. I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I'm done with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not effective. You're talking at people. You're throwing. Just imagine your words are nourishment. And what are you feeding each other? Are you throwing food at each other, or are you offering food to each other? That's nourishment. And if you keep doing that, your relationship is going to suck and it's going to dry and it's going to die. So you can do that like you want to. Be grown, do what you want to do. If you think that you're doing it well, because people kill me with, oh, we effectively communicate, but you don't know how to fight fair.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's a good one. Fighting fair. Say more. What does that mean?
What does fighting fair mean?
Yeah. Speak
You
on
know how to fight without you attacking that person. You know how to get your disagreement out and learn how to agree to disagree, or disagree and amicably without attacking your partner.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm actually about to release a TikTok that I did about the 10 ways on how to fight fair. So y'all look out for my TikTok in a little bit. But I haven't edited it, so I haven't released it yet. But
Coach be having fun on TikTok. Y'all make sure y'all follow Coach Michelle on TikTok, man.
That's my fun place. I get to act silly.
Yeah. I like to say that conflict is inevitable. Everybody's going to have conflict, right? Every conflict just means that we have different ideas.
Yes.
If we walk outside together and I say, man, it's nice out here. My wife says, man, it's a little cold out here. Ooh. We're both right, but those are conflicting ideas. There's conflict, right? She might need a jacket. I might not need a jacket. Same thing, so conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional.
Yes.
You don't have to fight each other. You fight together and fight the problem. The problem is the problem, not the person.
Yes. Let me say this, y'all. Y'all need to have communication. Y'all know I like acronyms. Effective communication should be safe. It should show empathy. It should allow for differences of perspective. It should follow your heart, and it should elevate the positive and not the negative. Safe, SAFE. It should be safe. And if it's not safe, then you're not effectively communicating.
Ayana says, I'll lock him in the room until he understands what I'm saying. Does that count?
As long as maybe, bring some strawberries.
Yarley says, effective communication equals me telling you what to do and you doing it. Hey, good fights are great, especially with the one you love. 9.5 week style.
You know what? Okay with him. Yes, we do have a YouTube channel. It's called the His and Her Perspective Show.
Yeah.
Because we were battling with a man with a song that we was trying to get, but he wouldn't.
Yeah. I'm Shalon. I'm not sure how to say your name. Sorry about that. But what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll make sure that I put the link to the YouTube channel in this chat, so you'll be able to click on there and go to the and subscribe to the channel. Selfishness can ruin a relationship. Facts. Absolutely. Let me be me and you be you. These dudes out here don't understand that. Look, people don't understand that. I know that, man. I spent so much time trying to change my wife. At one point, I talked about this before on here. I was trying so hard to change her into what I wanted her to be, that I was hindering her from being ultimately what she is right now, which is an even better version of herself than what I was trying to turn her into.
Yeah.
So I was blocking my own blessings.
Your own blessings. You messing up your own favor. How you going
to? This is what happens when you look. I know that I'm perfect, right?
Yes.
So,
we know. We all know. Everybody knows. Yeah.
This is so arrogant to think that you're supposed to change somebody or try to get them to be the way that you want them to be. Now, I don't get it twisted. I do push my wife to be a better version of herself. Like, one of the areas that I push her in is I used to anyway, not so much now because she's gotten a lot better at it, but how not to take things personal.
Right.
So I might push her in that, like these 4 agreements. Always do your best, be impeccable with your word. I always forget the third one, but not take nothing personal. That's very hard for a lot of people to do. And so I push in that way, but that's not trying to change you into what I want you to be. That's encouraging you to be an even better version of yourself by not allowing people to so easily jerk your chain. But here's where I'm going with that. One of the things that I think people are so arrogant, and I'm saying this from a place of where I used to be that person. There was a time in our marriage where I was very, very arrogant. You really couldn't tell me a whole lot. And so I thought that I was bringing more to the table than I really was, if you want to keep it 100. But what that does is it doesn't allow you to fully appreciate what the other person brings to the table.
Right.
And so what you end up doing, here's how you get to a place where you really enjoy who you're with. If you can allow yourself to celebrate who they are and what they bring to the table, rather than emphasizing their flaws and their faults, right? So my wife, look, I laugh at her as much as I might laugh at myself. I'm going to, I'm not talking about negative stuff. If my wife was the type that was cussing me out, that's a different conversation.
Right.
But I'm saying, even in the mistakes that your mate might make, you have to get to a place, or I should say, it's beneficial if you can get to a place where you learn to celebrate who they are, and the fact that you've found somebody who is willing to accept you and your flaws.
Yes.
Because you bring some flaws and some challenges of your own to the table.
Right.
And so the fact that you found somebody who's willing to go through that and appreciate you and celebrate life with you and tolerate your flaws, that's something to celebrate.
It is. It is. And people need to get that really for real, because it's the thing. I love it when you talk about the whole arrogance of it. God doesn't even try to do that. He doesn't change us. We have free will. So if God, the one who created us, doesn't try to change us, why does humans try to do it? Let me be who I'm going to be. You be who you going to be. We just going to work this thing out accordingly. And you learn how to harmonize instead of trying to overpower and control that person.
Yep.
You can't get the treasure out the treasure box if you locking the treasure box up.
Here's another reason why relationships suck. Another reason why your relationship, nobody specific, right?
Right.
But generally speaking, here's another reason why your relationship might suck. Coach Michela, tell them about the DISC assessment.
Okay, so I do an assessment. I actually do two. I do MBTI, which is the Myers-Briggs personality test, as well as the DISC assessment. I am certified in the MBTI, and I do these assessments to be able to show the differences in how people communicate differently and how what things are coming out of that. If you are a person that likes to communicate less, if you need to pull back to communicate, if you need to have social interaction, because I didn't even know anything about social esteem until I started doing these things. But people look and say, well, I have low self-esteem. No, you may have low social esteem. You may want to be around less people in order to re-energize yourself. So when you don't know about these differences in your partner and how they're going to react or respond in certain things, then you're going to have to keep tripping over things, right? Rather than trip over things, I help you learn up front, give you those keys and those strategies to be able to do that, and then take you to the next level and where your communication is. And a lot of people don't know those things because they don't do these personality tests. And if they do, they don't really know how to use them for relationships, because many times when they're doing them at work. They're doing them in some type of career setting, but they can go towards every single situation in your life if you know how to use them. So with these assessments, I actually, you take the 10-minute, 15, I think it's 10 to 12 minutes assessment. I actually sit with you, interpret the assessment. And when I say interpret, I pray over the assessments because I do rely upon the Holy Spirit very heavily to be able to help me with finding out what's really in people, as well as the assessment, right? And you would be surprised. I have 100% satisfaction rate when I meet with my clients and they are sitting there going, whoa. And I have had people to go, well, what you was talking about, not on this paper. That's because I make my notes, I interpret it, I make my notes, and then I send you a recap and tell you what my notes were, and I show you the assessment, and so that you can see for yourself. Because again, if you don't know how to interpret it, I know how, then you're not going to know how to do this. I've had people to say things like, this is the best money I've ever spent on my relationship. It is the most important thing I would ever do. And I would tell my friends and my family to do it too. So if you are in a position where you are not communicating effectively, where you're having arguments consistently, you're trying to figure out how to get your relationship to the next level, you don't know how to reach your wife. I don't understand her. You don't know how to reach your husband, right? Or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Get with me, because I don't just deal with married couples. I deal with premarital couples or girlfriend, boyfriend that want to know how to do this together and really communicate effectively. It will be the best $197 that you could ever spend on your relationship.
Word up. Yep, I concur.
So,
I concur.
but we also have the Love Alchemist over here with Alchemy, who tell them about the alchemy, because that is very helpful. I have used it myself, and the brother is right on.
Look, before I go on, let me say, I don't know if that was you, Coach Michela, or if that was my wife who put the links to our different YouTube pages. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all, the last few comments, you'll see the links to our YouTube page and all of our YouTube pages. So once we're done here, do us a favor and go over and subscribe to our YouTube, and make sure you click and like this video that we're in today. And then I also want to read Shalon Jones's comment. She says, Vaun, since you're perfect, did you ever have moments when you didn't value your wife's perspective, her perspective, that's what she's talking about, on matters? Let me say it this way. There was a time in my relationship where my wife could not stand me. You hear me?
Yes.
There was a time where I told the story before. I would pull up in the driveway after work, And just the sound of my car pulling up in the driveway made my wife's stomach hurt. She couldn't stand me. She didn't love me. And I think she always loved me.
Yeah.
Just the duty part of it, but she did not like me.
Right.
I put a question in my Facebook group yesterday. What happens if your wife falls out of love with you? Yeah. My wife was not in love with me. She didn't even like me. And so so just answering your question, Shalon, yes, a large part of how we got to that place was because I was so haughty and so arrogant, and I thought so highly of my own perspective that I undervalued her perspective. Yeah. Right. And that's enough to turn anybody off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had to grow to a place. I use that word on purpose. I had to grow to a place where I learned to appreciate just how bright and insightful and intuitively keen her mind actually is. Yeah. So much to the point, look, I had read so many books and did so much studying that I prized what I had in my mind. My wife was not a reader like that. She wasn't a studier like that, but she is so intuitively wise.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the hell she gets it from. I don't know if it's just a download from her ancestors or what, but I'm telling you what it is that she brings to the table. I would trade that for every book that I have ever read in my life.
Wow. That's good.
That's how sharp she is. But when you think that the value is in books rather than, or let me say it this way, when you value what you think you've accumulated, because anybody can write a damn book.
Right.
Right. But when you value what you've gotten out of these books over someone's life experience and the sharpness that they can articulate wisdom and solutions, problem solving, like when you value this over that, it's going to leave your relationship so far out of whack and out of balance that you're doomed. You're destined to undermine what it means to harmoniously relate to your woman or your man, right? So to answer your question, that's a long way of saying, yes, I did undervalue her perspective on matters, but I assure you that is not the case now.
Yeah. So it's very important. The thing is, like, so many times, and you talked earlier about those long conversations that you have with your wife, the long conversations I have with my guy. The thing is, people don't, it's like they're so selfish that they don't even want to hear what the other person is saying. They don't even want to hear the perspective. They don't want to hear their views. They don't want to hear their stories. They don't want to hear their backstories. They don't want to hear it. All they want to do is talk about themselves and get that out. But when you sit and you listen, sometimes I keep saying this to my sister. I have not been this feminine because I used to have a really strong masculine energy, and I have not been this feminine in my life, right? Than I am with my guy now, because it takes a moment to be quiet and listen, and not try to, oh, I got to get my word in. Or you like this in the conversation, like, okay, when my turn come, be quiet, sit back and chill and listen. You would be surprised as to the energy that you would get from that, the respect that you would get from that, the honor that you would get from that in listening to your partner. That's not necessarily just the man or to the woman to the man, but to your partner, that you would be able to see some things in them that you never knew were there if you allowed them to just speak and have their perspective and not try to judge them because you don't have the same perspective. Yep. I don't care if you wear the same glasses, if you in the same line, you moving down the same aisle, what your partner sees and what you see will always be two different things. And if you can think of communication being that way, you will be able to respect what your partner says and how they say it and what they think, regardless if they agree with you or not.
Yeah. Let me briefly touch on the question that you asked me about what it means to be a love alchemist. What is love alchemy? Right. So there's this book I read some years ago. It's called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I think he's from Brazil.
Yes.
And so the idea of alchemy is this process of turning a base metal, a lesser value metal, into a more expensive or more precious metal. So like turning lead to gold. Okay. And so the reason I call myself the love alchemist is because I take people's relationship in a very basic form, very basic foundation of what it means to be who they are in relating to one another. And I help them transform their relationship from lead to gold.
Mm.
You see, and so every time I talk about this, I'm very passionate about it, but it's also very upsetting because I think that this system has done us such a huge disservice for us to have graduated 8th grade and not know some of this alchemy that I'm talking about and what the relationship dynamics are. Like, we don't know that we should never be in a relationship with someone who's 6 years old. Let me rephrase that. Not you should never be in a relationship, but I'll say we don't realize the challenges, the extreme challenges that come along with being in a relationship with someone who's 6 years older than us, or 6 years younger than us, or 6 months birthday different from ours. So in other words, if I'm an Aries, I should know that my most challenging relationship to be in is with a Libra. As a Pisces, I should know that my most challenging relationship is with a Virgo. As an Aquarius, my most challenging relationship is with a Leo. As a Cancer, my most challenging relationship is with a Capricorn. As a Sagittarius, my most challenging relationship is with a Sagittarius. Did I miss one? As a Gemini.
You said Sagittarius.
Sagittarius and Gemini, Cancer, Capricorn. Right. I think I got all of them. I think that's all of them. If I forgot one, then y'all let me know. I don't remember. But anyway, the point that I'm making is these are relationship dynamics that allow us to look. We used to go up to people back in the day and we say, "Hey, girl, what's your sign?"
What's your sign?
Right. That was a pickup line. It devolved to a pickup line, but that wasn't the original intent behind it. You were really looking to get a peek into who you were about to relate to. That gave you some insight as a man. Look, I'm an Aries, she's a Libra. I already know some of the inherent challenges of what it's going to mean to be in an intimate relationship with this person. And now I get to discern right then and there, as more than I care to lift, or you know what, she's pretty enough for me to overcome all that, or whatever it is. So again, a lot of that is like what the alchemy is. And then there's that's all of the Western part of it, the Aries, Libra, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and so on. But then there's also a Chinese aspect of it where you're talking about the rat, the horse, the dog, the pig, the dragon, the tiger, right? So there are different aspects of it that allow us or disallow us to relate harmoniously. And so I love getting into that because what I find is that oftentimes when I'm dealing with couples, even couples who have been together 15 years and longer, they find themselves talking to me and feeling like I'm introducing them to each other for the first time. All over again.
Yes. Doesn't that feel good when that happens? I have now introduced you to your partner again. And that's kind of like, we both use that term. Like, I'm going to introduce you to who your partner is, who you've never seen them to be. And that is so satisfying to me, to be able to help them go, that's what's been happening all this time. Look, that is the greatest feeling ever as a coach,
That's what you just said. I'm sorry, my fault.
I was going to say that the reason why is because we've been told, according to the church, you don't talk about that. That's the devil. But the Bible talk about astrology all throughout it. They don't use the word astrology, but they're talking about the moon and the stars, and follow the moon and the stars, and follow the moon and the stars all the time, right? But we're not doing that. We've been told not to do it. Why? Because it will bring division. If we knew that, we would bring the unity, and we would know how to handle each other, right?
Yep. Yardley says effective communication is the key. When she flatulates like the horns of Gabriel on Judgment Day during an intense verbal judo session, and we both break out into gut-busting laughter. Yeah. Shalon says, I just subscribed. Yay. And she taught me how to say her name. Yes. Drop the jaw like Shalon. Got you.
She said, thank you for answering that.
Yeah. Yardley says, people lost the ability to have a conversation effectively and actively listen, and realize that it's not always about you, your thoughts, opinions, or attitudes.
Yes. I don't know what he means. Memory like AW.
Yeah. So, long story short, AW is my grandfather,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
so that's a compliment from my cousin telling me I got a good memory.
Oh, very
I
nice.
appreciate you, cuzzo. Stephanie says, "What about Gemini and Sagittarius?"
Polarity.
Great question. So, this is where we get into this dynamic. This is the alchemy, right? Opposites attract. How many times have we heard opposites attract in
Right.
relationships, right?
Right.
The problem with opposites attract is that, like magnets, we know that if we take two magnets and we put the opposite sides together, they end up stuck.
Right.
And the same thing happens in relationships. When you find yourself in these opposites attract relationships, you find yourself stuck with somebody trying to love somebody that you don't even like.
Right.
Right. So this is why it's important to understand the dynamic of what it means to relate to someone who is your polarity. So, long way of saying, Stephanie, that Gemini and Sagittarius are each other's polarity. This is one of the most challenging relationships that you can find yourself in. It doesn't mean that the relationship can't work. It just means that in order for the relationship to work, you need to holler at me so we can get you some understanding
Absolutely.
on how to work the dynamics that are at play in your relationship.
Yeah.
Because you think that person is just tripping, or you think they just acting funny, when in reality, that's naturally how they're wired.
Right.
You see? And so I love dealing with that kind of thing, because we should have known, she should have known the day she graduated 8th grade, being a Sagittarius, what it means to relate to a Gemini, or being a Gemini, what it means to relate to a Sagittarius. Relationships are, experts have estimated that as much as 95% of our overall happiness can be attributed to how well we do in our intimate relationships. If our happiness accounts for that, if relationships account for that much happiness in our lives, man, it should be a crime against humanity that you never talk to me about what it means to find harmony with the different people that I'm going to be relating to.
Relationship. Why is there no relationship classes? Why are you not learning that?
We got to put on another class.
Yeah, we do. We really do. Because we don't know. And I'm gonna tell you, there's other cultures, such as the young lady on Coach Vaughn's other page says that they are taught. They are highly taught about relationship statuses and how to relate with each other. Our culture is not. It is not taught that if you and Ian, like I'm an ENFJ. That's an extroverted, intuitive, feeling, judgment, and depending on my percentages in that, I think more than I feel, but I still am a feeler because of my feminine qualities. My guy is an INFJ. He's an introverted, intuitive, feeling, judgment. That's why we're able to really talk as much as we do, but we balance each other out because I'm extroverted and he's introverted. So those things like really harmonize together and make us really like a really great couple. A lot of people don't know that, but those are the types of things that we deal with. So
yep.
These are tools that you have at your beck and call to be able to make appointments, whether you wanted to do it together and find out the full gamut of your entire thing, or you want to go, with one or the other. We don't care. We just want you to get some help.
Yep.
We want to make sure that you are in position to have the best relationship ever so that you can make what cool again?
We got to make Black love cool again. We got to make just not just Black love. We got to make relationships cool again.
Yes.
Because right now we got people making fun of brothers for dropping on the knee and proposing to a woman. What the hell kind of universe? What the hell kind of reality are we living where we're making fun of men for proposing to a woman? Do you understand how
ridiculing?
You understand how insane that sounds?
Yeah.
Like, you got women out here who are ridiculing other women who want to be a wife.
Makes no sense.
I have a question right here from Kevin. He says, what is your take on a partner who doesn't like the way that you express yourself, and a partner who doesn't like your sense of humor, who doesn't like your sense of humor, where your partner wants to change your behavior because you should respect their feelings. Let me read that again. What is your take on a partner who doesn't like the way that you express yourself, and a partner who doesn't like your sense of humor, where your partner wants you to change your behavior because you should respect their feelings? Go.
One, I think they're controlling. But then you got to find out what the back end of their controlling. Are they your polarity? Are you ask them as far as the alchemy is concerned? Do you understand where those things have come from? And those are things that'll happen if you do the assessments that I do. So you got to find out who that person is. And a lot of times we get cute. We want to look at the lips, the hips, and the fingertips, or the muscles and the hustle. We can't keep doing that. Find out who your person is before you start getting all involved, and then you figure out that you don't even like them, or they can't even respect your view. I wouldn't be in a relationship like that.
No. If I have to look there, I enjoy the art of compromise, right? But I don't compromise so much that I lose myself, or that I compromise so much that I forget or I forget who I really am. Look, the idea of compromise isn't about me losing.
Right.
Compromising is about me determining that she has just as much right to be happy about the outcome as I do.
That's it.
That's what a healthy compromise is. So sometimes she might get her way, sometimes I might get my way, but it's no sense of loss. It's about, okay, which scenario gives us both a sense of fulfillment, satisfaction, enjoyment, not feeling disrespected at the end of this discussion that we're having.
Yes.
Right. So
yes.
Saying all that to say, I'm not changing the way that I laugh. If my very vibration, look, my laughter comes from an internal vibration.
Yes.
This is what you're seeing before you is an expression called Vaun.
Yeah.
So if my laugh annoys you, you don't like Vaun.
You don't like me.
And I'm at peace with that. Right? I just got to take my ball and go somewhere else and play.
Right.
That's all.
And that's it. And so you got to understand, like Ryan just said, is the humor in good taste. The thing is, who's good taste? That's that perspective that we were talking about. If you don't like the perspective that your partner brings to the table, or respect their perspective, then you shouldn't be with that partner.
Yeah.
Because you got to be able to respect their perspective on things. If you can't do that, you're going to have challenges all up and down your relationship.
But to that point, is the humor in good taste? Sometimes, we all have a little bit of ratchetness in us. I think, I'm from 44th and Cicero. I got a little bit of hood still left in me, and I like to play in certain ways. I got a certain style in my humor. I might, there's a professional version of me, but then there's a much more personal version of me. And if the most personal version of myself doesn't resonate with the person that I'm hoping to connect with, I'm probably trying to connect to the wrong source.
Right. Yeah. And that's very key, because this is the thing, what you can tolerate now, you won't like later. What you think is cute now, you will tolerate later, and then you may not like a little bit later down the road. So you have to get to the place where you walk in the relationship and you say, hey, this person, I can be with them just like they are. Yeah. I'm not trying to change even an iota of them, not a cell, not a neutron. I don't want to change none of them. And if you cannot look at them and say, I like them just as they are, then you should not be in that relationship, because there could be some worse things than what you be seeing.
Unless they wear socks with sandals. If they wear socks with sandals, that's a wrap. Or if you wear if they wear socks with sandals.
I do that around my house.
It would never work. It would never work.
I sure will. But if I come from outside, I got my socks on. I see my flip-flops right at the door because I don't want to pick them up and walk through the house with them because they're dirty from the floor. So I gotta put my feet in them until I get upstairs and take my socks off and then put my. Whatever, man. Whatever.
Kind about it. And I guess I'll throw the women one too. I guess if the brother wear white sports socks with his dress shoes, then maybe that's a no too. So you might.
No.
Some things can be improved upon, right?
Yeah, but you can at least still be like, baby, let me tell you what's sexy. You know, it's a way to do that. Be like, let me tell you what's sexy, baby. Not them socks with them sandals. Let me tell you, baby. Let me tell you.
Hey, we've been on here for an hour and 46 minutes. I guess we can wrap it up and let the family go. We sure appreciate y'all for hanging with us. Go ahead and close us out, sis.
You know what? My brother always says that you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be with us for an hour and 40-something minutes. So we really appreciate you. We really want to make sure that you share. Do a watch party. You can, since you sat here with us for this long, go ahead, click the watch party. Walk away, go get something to eat, do what you gotta do, and let somebody else watch it, right? Make sure that you are tapping into our pages at Vaun the Love Alchemist on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as Coach Michelamonè on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, as well as the His and Her Perspective show over at YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe to that channel. We're trying to get to that channel to 100 likes so that we can get our own URL, and we're gonna be super happy about that. So help us out, family. If you have questions and you cannot show up to the show on a particular Sunday, but you want your question to be answered, please make sure that you call us at 304-60-ASK-US. That's 304-60-ASK-US. And we will answer your question on the show so that when you are able to, you can come back and get the question answered. So love y'all for real, for real. Can't wait to see y'all until next week, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have another great show.
Yep, for sure. Hey, if you know anybody that is in need of relationship help, or if you yourself are in need of relationship help, do not suffer in silence. Do not struggle unnecessarily. If you want Coach Michela or myself, or if you want us as a package, you want us to work together, we do that too. The only thing that we care about is that ultimately that you win. Yes. So don't prolong your suffering and your struggles unnecessarily, family. So with that being said, thank y'all for hanging out. We love y'all so much. Peace.